Welcome to the Copperfield Electric Podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's really fantastic to be here.
I actually had a bit of a moment this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was standing in my kitchen, just barely awake, waiting for the coffee grinder to finish its job. And while that was just screaming, the toaster popped.
Right.
The microwave was reheating some oatmeal, and then the refrigerator kicked on with that really low, heavy hum. And I just froze.
Just taking it all in.
Yeah, I looked at the little plastic outlet cover on the wall and thought, we really just expect this magic to happen, don't we?
We do. We feel completely entitled to it, honestly.
Yeah.
And we get very, very upset when the magic stops.
Exactly. But it got me thinking about what's actually happening behind the drywall. We treat our homes like these static boxes that just exist, but there's this entire pulsing nervous system keeping the whole thing alive.
It is the single most critical and probably the most ignored piece of equipment in a modern home.
Right. It's vibrant and it's dangerous and it's essential. And today, we are doing a deep dive into the brain of that system, the electrical panel.
It's the heart and the brain combined, really.
And we aren't just riffing on this today. We have a really solid stack of sources for this deep dive. We're looking at a brand new comprehensive guide titled Orange County Electrical Panel Upgrades.
Which is actually published today.
Yes, today, February 19, 2026. So this is fresh data. And we're cross-referencing that with the operational profile of Copperfield Electric, which is a local outfit right here in Orange County, Southern California.
And the mission for us today is pretty clear. We need to bridge that gap for you, the listener, between I flip the switch and the light comes on and my house is actually safe.
Because there's a big difference.
Huge difference. We're going to look at why that gray metal box in your garage or on the side of your house is the unsung hero of your safety. How to know specifically when it's failing, and honestly, who you can actually trust to touch it without burning your house down.
Because there was one stat in the reading that really jumped out at me. It actually made me walk out to my garage and stare at my own panel.
I think I know the one you mean.
Yeah, if you live in Orange County, and this applies to a massive chunk of our listeners, and your home was built before 1990, the source says you are running on borrowed time.
Yeah.
That is not a comforting phrase.
No, it's not meant to be comforting. It's meant to be a wake-up call. Borrowed time in this context refers to both capacity and physical degradation. Think about it.
Yeah.
1990 doesn't feel that long ago to some of us.
Feels like yesterday.
Right. But technologically, it's the Stone Age.
I was trying to picture my childhood home in like 1985 or 1990. What was the biggest power draw we had? A tube TV that weighed 500 pounds.
Maybe a microwave.
Exactly.
The electrical load was negligible compared to today.
Yeah.
You had incandescent bulbs, a refrigerator, maybe a window AC unit if you were lucky.
Yeah.
The panels installed back then were often rated for 100 amps or even less.
Yeah.
They were designed for that specific lifestyle.
Right. A world without the internet. Without server racks in the closet.
Without EVs, they just weren't designed for 2026.
Where we have two people working from home with multiple monitors running, a high-efficiency HVAC system trying to cool 2,000 square feet, smart fridges, air fryers, Pelotons, and the big one.
Electric vehicles.
Yes.
The EV factor is really the tipping point for most homes in Southern California right now. You are trying to push a massive amount of current through a system that was designed to run a toaster oven.
That's crazy visual.
It's like trying to fill an Olympic swimming pool with a drinking straw. The pressure, or in this case, the heat, builds up, and that heat has to go somewhere.
So let's get technical for a second, but keep it simple for those of us who didn't major in electrical engineering. What is the panel actually doing? Because I think most people just see it as a collection of switches they have to flip when they plug in a hairdryer and a space heater at the same time.
Okay, think of the panel as a traffic controller and a bodyguard wrapped into one.
Traffic controller and bodyguard. Okay.
Its job is to take the massive surge of power coming from the utility grid, which is raw, dangerous energy, and split it into manageable little streams.
Those are your circuits.
Right, that's the traffic controller part. But the bodyguard part is the most important.
Breakers.
Yes. A circuit breaker is actually a heat-sensing device. It's not just a switch. If too much current flows through a wire, the wire gets hot. It's just physics.
Right.
It gets too hot and melts the insulation, exposes the bare copper, and starts a fire inside your walls where you can't even see it. The breaker's only job is to sense that rising heat and trip, to physically cut the connection before the wire melts.
So when the breaker trips, it's not being annoying, it's actually saving your life.
Precisely. It's a suicide mission for the switch. It cuts itself off to save the wiring in the house.
Here is where that borrowed time concept gets scary for me, reading through this guide. The source material mentions that old breakers don't just trip too often. Sometimes they fail to trip at all.
That is the absolute nightmare scenario. It's known as a mechanical failure. There were certain brands installed in the 70s and 80s and even the early 90s that have a notoriously high failure rate.
What happens to them?
Over time, the internal grease solidifies. The springs get weak or they corrode. So you overload the circuit, the wire starts heating up, glowing like a toaster coil inside your wall, but the breaker...
It sits there.
It just sits there, thinks everything is fine, it stays closed.
And the current keeps flowing until the wood framing inside the wall catches fire.
Correct. That is why this isn't just about convenience or stopping the lights from flickering. It is a primary fire safety issue. If that bodyguard falls asleep on the job, you have zero protection.
Okay, that's sufficiently terrifying. Let's pivot to something actionable. Let's build a checklist for the listener.
Good idea.
The guide outlines specific red flags. If I'm walking through my house right now, specifically here in Orange County where we have this mix of old beach cottages and 80s tract homes, what am I looking for?
The first one is the most obvious and yet the most ignored. Nuisance tripping.
Nuisance tripping.
Yeah, if you can't run the microwave and the vacuum at the same time without walking out to the garage to flip a switch, your system is shouting at you.
Yeah.
It's telling you, I am at capacity. I cannot do this.
I think a lot of people just ignore that. They think, oh, it's just old house quirks. Or they develop these complex rituals like, okay, honey, turn off the TV. I need a vacuum.
It's not a quirk. It's a warning.
Yeah.
It means you are redlining the engine every single day. The second sign is visible. Flickering or dimming lights.
I've seen this. You turn on the printer or the AC kicks in and the living room lights dip for a second.
Exactly. If your overhead lights dim momentarily when your refrigerator compressor kicks on, that is called a voltage drop.
Okay.
It means your panel can't distribute the power fast enough to keep everything stable. The pipe isn't big enough.
That's the one that always makes me feel like I'm in a horror movie. But speaking of horror movies, the guide mentions smells. And this one was really, really specific.
Yeah, this is the call 911 level of red flag. If you are near your panel and you smell burning plastic, that's obvious. But the guide mentions a fishy smell.
Fishy? Like seafood?
Yeah, believe it or not. Many older electrical components, specifically the Bakelite plastic and wire insulation used decades ago, they release a chemical smell when they overheat that strongly resembles fish or urine.
Wow.
It's very distinct. If you smell that in your garage or hallway, you are in immediate danger.
That is wild. I would never associate a fish smell with an electrical fire.
Most people don't. They look for a dead rat or they check the trash. But if it's coming from the wall, it means the insulation is melting.
And then there's the visual stuff on the panel itself. Rust.
Rust and corrosion. And this is huge for our listeners. In Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Dana Point, we're in a coastal environment here. Salt air is brutal on electrical contact.
Right. The ocean air eats... Yeah.
It does. If you see rust on your breakers or on the bottom of the panel box, that implies moisture intrusion. Electricity plus water creates corrosion. Corrosion creates resistance. Resistance creates heat.
Heat creates fire.
Eventually you get arcsing, where the electricity literally jumps through the air like a mini lightning bolt. And yes, that starts fires.
So if I see rust or smell fish or my lights are strobing like a disco, I need an upgrade. But I feel like there's a huge mental barrier here.
How so?
People hear electrical panel upgrade and they picture a demolition crew. They picture their walls being torn open, dust everywhere, sleeping in a hotel, power out for a week.
That is the biggest misconception preventing people from acting. The Orange County Electrical Panel Upgrade Guide actually breaks down the process step by step, and it's surprisingly surgical.
It's not a remodel?
No, it's not a remodel, it's a swap.
Walk us through it. What is the actual timeline?
It's usually a single day.
One day, start to finish.
For a standard upgrade, yes. You aren't living in a hotel. The guide outlines a 4-step process. Step 1 is the inspection. A pro doesn't just rip the box off. They check the grounding, which is crucial for safety, and the condition of the wires coming into the box.
To see if the service entrance cable is still good.
Exactly. You need to know what you're working with before you start cutting. Step 2 is the boring part, but honestly, the most important part. Permitting.
Oh, the dreaded city hall run.
You cannot skip this.
Yeah.
The source material is very clear. Do not do unpermitted electrical work.
Because of insurance.
Yes. If you have a fire later, your insurance company can deny the claim if the work wasn't permitted. A legitimate provider handles all that red tape for you. They pull the permit, they deal with the city of Irvine or Santa Ana or wherever you are.
That is a relief. I don't speak building code, and I definitely don't want to stand in line at the permit office.
Right. Step 3 is the installation. Yes, the power has to be cut. So you will be offline for maybe 4 to 8 hours. The electrician removes the old can, puts in the new modern enclosure, and reconnects all your circuits to new sensitive safe breakers.
And they label everything.
Yes. Which is a luxury in itself if you've ever lived with a panel labeled mystery room.
Or just lights and other lights.
Exactly. And then step 4, the stamp of approval. The city inspector comes out usually that same day or the next morning and signs off. You get the green tag. That tag is your proof that your home meets current 2026 safety standards.
Okay, so it's fast. But let's address the elephant in the room, the cost. I appreciate that the guide didn't hide this. It gave us hard numbers for the Orange County market specifically.
Transparency is key here. We are looking at a range between $3,800 and $5,300 for a typical home upgrade in this region.
$3,800 to $5,300. Now, I know some listeners might cringe at that. It's not exactly pocket change.
It's not. But let's context switch for a second. How much does a mid-range kitchen remodel cost in Orange County? $40,000, $50,000.
Oh, at least.
People spend that for aesthetic upgrades, backsplashes, faucets, without blinking. This is a fraction of that cost, and it protects the entire asset.
That's a really good point. You can have a beautiful quartz countertop, but if the house burns down, it doesn't matter much. And the guide mentions investment versus expense. It talks about home value.
Huge factor. Buyers are smarter now. Home inspectors are smarter.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at a house in Irvine or Tustin, and I open the garage panel and see a rusted, chaotic box from 1975, I immediately knock $5,000 to $10,000 off my offer.
Wow.
I see it as a liability. I see it as work I have to do.
So you're paying for it whether you do the work or not, either in cash now or lost value later when you try to sell.
Exactly. A modern 200-amp panel is a selling point. It tells a buyer, this house is maintained. This house is ready for the future.
Yeah.
Plus, there's an efficiency angle.
Like cleaner power.
Yes. A modern panel provides cleaner, smoother power flow. This actually helps your expensive appliances. Your smart fridge, your computer last longer. Dirty power kills electronics.
Okay, so we've established the why and the how much. Now we need to talk about the who. The source material pivots here to spotlight a specific provider. Copperfield Electric.
Right. And looking at their company profile, they stand out in a landscape that is often dominated by giant franchises or random gig economy contractors. First off, Copperfield Electric is a family-owned business.
I always gravitate toward that. It usually means you can actually get a human on the phone if something goes wrong. It feels less corporate.
It implies accountability. When your name is on the business, you care about your reputation in the neighborhood. But let's look at the trust markers in the text. It's not enough to just be nice guys. You need credentials.
Right.
The source explicitly lists their license number, 1094740.
Why does listing the number actually matter? I mean, I see numbers on trucks all the time.
Because it means they are bonded and insured. This is critical. If a handyman without a license messes up your panel and fries your TV, or worse, gets injured on your property, you are liable.
You're just out of luck.
If a licensed bonded contractor does it, you are covered. It's about risk mitigation for the homeowner.
There was another detail in their profile that I think is even more important for families, especially if you have kids or elderly parents at home. They background check their staff.
This is massive. Think about the nature of electrical work. You aren't just letting someone mow your lawn. You are inviting them into your sanctuary.
Yeah, they have to go into every room.
Often they do.
Yeah.
To check outlets to ensure the circuits are balanced. They are in your bedroom, your kids' rooms. Knowing that the person standing there has been vetted and background checked creates a level of peace of mind you just can't put a price on.
Absolutely. It changes the dynamic from watch this stranger to trust this professional. And they offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee, which is bold. It says, we aren't leaving until you're happy.
Let's ground this geographically for the listener, too. We keep saying Orange County, but the source lists specific service areas to help people know if they are covered.
Yeah, they seem to be everywhere we are. Irvine, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa.
Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Mission Viejo, and their HQ is in Tustin, right on Copperfield Drive.
That's a nice touch.
So they aren't driving in from 2 hours away. They are local. They know the local inspectors. They know the specific quirks of Orange County housing stock.
That local aspect ties into another feature I saw that really matters, 24/7 availability.
The 24-hour electrician. This is critical because, as we know, Infrastructure rarely fails at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday when everyone is available.
It fails when you're cooking Thanksgiving dinner, or during a heat wave on a Sunday night when the AC overload trips the main breaker.
Exactly. And the big national franchises often have an answering service that says, "We can fit you in next Thursday." Copperfield's profile emphasizes that they handle after-hours emergencies and sudden outages.
They're set up for crisis management.
They understand that electricity isn't optional.
I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier because I think this is the fun part of the upgrade. The future. The sources talk about future-proofing. This isn't just about fixing what's broken, it's about enabling what's coming.
The electric vehicle is the driver here. Pun intended.
Nice. But it's true. If you buy a Tesla or a Rivian, you can't just plug it into a regular wall outlet, right? I mean, you can, but it takes 3 days to charge.
Right, that's level 1 charging.
Yeah.
It's useless for daily driving. It's like filling a gas tank with an eyedropper. You need a dedicated level 2 charger. That draws significant power, often 40 or 50 amps, just for the car.
Which is huge.
If you have an old 100 amp panel, you literally cannot install that charger. You physically don't have the room or the capacity.
So the panel upgrade is actually the gateway drug to owning a modern car.
It is the prerequisite for a modern life. And it's not just cars. The source mentions ADUs, accessory dwelling units.
Oh, the granny flats. Those are exploding in popularity in California right now. Everyone is turning their garage into an apartment.
They are. But think about the physics. If you turn a garage into a living space or build a casita in the back, you are adding a kitchen heating, maybe another water heater, a washer and dryer. You need a professional to do the load calculation.
You don't want the lights in the main house to brown out every time Grandma makes toast in the ADU.
That would be a very awkward Thanksgiving.
Very.
Copperfield Electric specifically lists ADU wiring and EV charger installation as core services. But again, it all leads back to that main panel. That's the choke point.
Okay, so we have a listener who is nodding along right now. They're thinking, my house was built in 1980, my lights flicker, I'm thinking about an EV, and honestly, that fishy smell thing really freaked me out. What is the next step? The text has a very specific call to action.
Yes, it says to get a free estimate to upgrade electrical panel in Orange County.
Free estimate to upgrade electrical panel in Orange County. I love the word free, but why is that significant in this trade?
Because usually just getting a service truck to roll to your driveway costs a service call fee or a trip charge, maybe $150 or $200.
That fee acts as a barrier.
It does. People put off checking their safety because they don't want to pay $200 just to be told everything is fine.
So Copperfield removes that barrier.
Right. It allows for a risk-free diagnosis. It encourages you to ask the question. And their philosophy, as stated in the source, is crucial. They say, we are honest electricians who will only diagnose a problem if it truly exists.
That's the family-owned difference again. They aren't trying to upsell you a whole new system if you just have a loose wire on one breaker.
Exactly. Troubleshooting is a big part of what they do. Maybe you don't need a $4,000 panel. Maybe you just need a $200 repair or a breaker swap.
But you won't know until a pro looks at it.
The free estimate allows you to get that clarity without opening your wallet first.
So let's wrap this up and distill it for the listener. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the physics of arcing to the geography of Tustin. What are the 3 things our listener needs to take away from this deep dive?
Pillar number 1, verify your capacity. If you are in Orange County and your home is older than 1993, check if you have 200 amps. If you don't, you are bottlenecking your own home and limiting your future options.
Pillar number 2.
Trust the warning signs. Flickering lights, tripping breakers, and especially weird smells are not annoyances. They are pre-fire indicators. Safety is the priority. Do not ignore the nervous system of your house.
And pillar 3.
You have a verified local solution. You don't need to roll the dice on a random directory listing. Copperfield Electric checks all the boxes. Licensed, bonded, background checked, and local. They are neighbors serving neighbors.
Listeners, here is the bottom line. Don't wait for the smell of burning plastic to realize your infrastructure is failing. Don't wait until the lights go out completely. If you are in the OC area, Irvine, Tustin, Santa Ana, anywhere nearby, reach out to Copperfield Electric.
Start with the free estimate. It's the smartest, zero-risk move you can make. Just get the information.
I'm going to read their number so you can put it in your phone right now. Even if you don't call today, save it under electrician. It is 62662296994. Again, that is 62662296994.
And if I can leave the listener with one final thought to chew on.
Go for it.
We spend so much time and money curating the visible parts of our homes. The quartz countertops, the hardwood floors, the perfect paint colors. We obsess over the aesthetics.
We really do.
But shouldn't the very first investment be in the invisible infrastructure that keeps the house from burning down?
That is a powerful perspective. The granite countertops don't matter much if the lights won't turn on.
Exactly. It's about priorities.
Go check your garage panels, everyone. Thanks for tuning into this deep dive.
Stay safe out there.
See you next time.